What finally started to change wasn't your motivation. It was your mitochondria. You've tried before. The clean eating, the gym membership, the 2-week streak that fell apart on a random Tuesday for no reason you could explain. And somewhere in there, you decided the problem was you. It wasn't. Here's the critical thing to understand. Your body doesn't respond to willpower. It responds to signals, chemical signals, cellular signals, and for years you were sending it the wrong ones without knowing it. I know. That sounds strange, but stay with me because this changes everything. When you finally start living healthy, really start, not the fake kind, something happens inside your cells within hours, not weeks, hours. Your body begins a process most people have never heard of. Scientists call it autophagy. Think of it as your body's internal cleanup crew. Every cell in you is like a small workshop, and workshops, over time, fill up with broken tools, damaged parts, junk that used to work but doesn't anymore. Most people never realize this, but your cells have been quietly hoarding that junk for years. Not because your body failed you, because it was surviving. Here's what most people completely miss. Cellular cleanup isn't automatic. It has to be triggered, and one of the biggest triggers is stress you can actually recover from. Short bursts of hunger, movement, cold, sleep done right. That's the blind spot. Not because you lacked discipline, because your body was waiting for a signal that never came. In 2016, a Japanese cell biologist named Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize for uncovering how this cleanup crew actually works. The mechanics of autophagy cell by cell. What he found changed how scientists understand aging itself, because here's the part nobody talks about. The cleanup crew doesn't just remove junk, it rebuilds. Clean first, rebuild second, repeat. And when that cycle runs smoothly, your energy changes, your focus changes, even your skin changes. But when it doesn't run, when the signal never comes, the junk piles up, cell by cell, year by year. And that's where everything changes, because there's one specific molecule standing guard over this entire process. One switch that decides whether your cells clean up or stay cluttered. Researchers at institutions like Harvard and the Salk Institute have spent years mapping exactly how it works. And once you understand this molecule, you'll understand why every diet you tried before quietly worked against you. You'll understand why some days you feel sharp and other days foggy, for reasons that have nothing to do with sleep. You'll understand the real reason your body held on to weight it didn't need. This is the part that matters, because right now that switch, sitting inside every one of your cells, is either working for you or against you, and you're about to find out which one. Part 2, K. Lie next type, Karain. That switch has a name, mTOR. Think of mTOR as the foreman on a construction site. When food, especially protein and sugar, floods in constantly, the foreman stays busy building, never cleaning. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. Constant eating, constant snacking, constant fuel. It keeps mTOR switched on nonstop, and when it's always on, your cellular cleanup crew never gets called in. The junk stays. This was never your fault. Nobody taught you that eating windows matter more than what's on your plate. But here's the part nobody talks about. When you give your body real breaks, mTOR quiets down, and a second switch, AMPK, wakes up. AMPK is the crew supervisor who finally says, stop building, start repairing. Here's the practical protocol, the actual sequence your cells respond to. Morning. Delay your first meal by at least 90 minutes after waking. Black coffee or water only. This keeps AMPK active a little longer, extending your cleanup window. Midday. Your first meal should center on protein and fiber. Eggs, leafy greens, olive oil. This supports muscle without spiking mTOR too aggressively. Evening. Finish eating at least 3 hours before sleep. This single habit, often ignored, gives your mitochondria uninterrupted repair time overnight, supported by melatonin and lowered cortisol. Sleep itself isn't rest, It's maintenance. Deep sleep is when your brain clears metabolic waste and your body finishes the cleanup autophagy started earlier in the day. Your body wasn't broken. It was protecting you.
Running survival mode because the signals never told it otherwise.
Now they do. None of these steps work alone. That's the part most people miss. The fasting window primes autophagy. The protein timing supports rebuilding. The sleep consolidates it. Each one compounds the next. Stack them for a week and your energy shifts. Stack them for a month and your inflammation markers shift. Stack them for a year and you're not just healthier, you're biologically younger at the cellular level. This wasn't about discipline. It was about finally speaking your body's language. But there's one more player in this story we haven't touched yet. A molecule your body makes less of every single year after 30. And what happens when it runs low might be the real reason aging feels like it speeds up overnight. What your body stops making after 30 and why aging suddenly feels faster. You didn't get lazier in your 30s. Your cells got quieter. That's not a metaphor. It's biology. Somewhere around 30, a molecule your body has relied on since childhood starts disappearing. Slowly at first, then faster. And nobody warns you. You just wake up one day and wonder why the recovery isn't the same. Why the energy dips harder. Why the same workout that used to fuel you now flattens you for 2 days. You blame stress. You blame sleep. You blame getting older like it was some vague, unexplainable curse. It wasn't vague. It had a name. Here's the critical thing to understand. Every cell in your body runs on a currency, not calories, something deeper, a molecule called NAD. Think of NAD as the electricity running through your cellular factory. Without it, the machines don't move, the lights don't turn on, repair crews sit idle even when they're ready to work. And here's what most people completely miss. You're not short on effort, you're short on power. By the time you hit 40, your NAD levels can drop by nearly half compared to your 20s. By 60, even lower. I know, that sounds strange, losing something you never knew you had. But stay with me, because this changes everything about how you understood aging. Because NAD isn't just fuel, it's the molecule that activates your sirtuins, a family of proteins that act like the building security and maintenance system. They monitor damage, they protect your DNA, they decide how gracefully your cells age. Elizabeth Blackburn, the Nobel Prize-winning biologist who uncovered how telomeres protect our chromosomes, helped reveal just how tightly this system of protection and repair is wired to yours. When NAD runs low, the security system loses power too. Damage goes unnoticed, unrepaired. It accumulates. That's the blind spot. Not because your body stopped caring, because it ran out of electricity to care with. Here's the part nobody talks about. This isn't random decline. It's a specific, trackable, biological event. Researchers at Harvard and MIT have spent the last decade mapping exactly why NAD+ falls, and, more importantly, what quietly triggers its return. Because the surprising part is this: your body hasn't forgotten how to repair itself. It's just waiting for the power to come back on. And there's one everyday habit, something most people do constantly without a second thought, that's silently draining what NAD+ you have left even faster. Most people have no idea they're doing it. You've probably done it today already, and once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. The habit is blue light exposure after dark, specifically the kind that comes from screens. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. It's not the light itself, it's what that light tells your brain. Every time you scroll at night, your brain reads that light as daytime, and in response it suppresses melatonin, the hormone that doesn't just help you sleep, but also protects and recycles your NAD+ overnight. Less melatonin, less repair. Less NAD+ regenerated by morning. Night after night, that gap widens. This was never your fault. Nobody explained that scrolling in bed wasn't just a sleep problem. It was a cellular one. Here's the practical protocol, the sequence your body actually needs to rebuild NAD+. Warning: get sunlight in your eyes within 30 minutes of waking. This resets your circadian clock and protects your melatonin production for that night, which protects tomorrow's NAD. Midday, move your body, even 20 minutes of brisk walking or resistance training. Exercise is one of the few things proven to directly stimulate NAD production through a pathway involving muscle stress and a compound called NMN, a precursor your body converts into usable NAD. Evening, dim your lights and put the phone away at least an hour before bed. This single shift protects melatonin, which protects mitochondrial repair, which protects the NAD+ you have left. Some people add foods rich in NAD+ precursors, like tryptophan from turkey and pumpkin seeds, or niacin from mushrooms and peanuts. Small inputs, real biological signal. None of these steps work in isolation. That's the part most people miss. Morning light protects your melatonin. Melatonin protects your NAD. NAD powers your sirtuins. Your sirtuins protect your DNA. Every piece feeds the next. Stack this for a week and your energy shifts. Stack it for a month and recovery starts feeling like it did a decade ago. Stack it for a year and you're not fighting aging, you're slowing the actual mechanism behind it. You were never lazy. You were just running on low power in a body that was still waiting for the right signal. But there's one more piece to this, a hidden connection between your gut and your brain that decides how much of any of this your body can even absorb. And what's living in your gut right now might be quietly canceling out everything you just learned.